Every house has things better left untouched. But sometimes they touch you first. Peppa walked, clutching the rabbit tightly. At the end of the hallway, a closed, dark door. A black puddle seeped from underneath it. Bare footprints led inside. It was waiting, remembering every step. Peppa stood on the threshold. Deep inside loomed a tall figure, the master, with two glowing eyes. This was the room of forgotten things, and he was its keeper. Peppa ran, stumbling. Black tendrils grabbed her ankle. "Run!" But the house had already decided her fate. Peppa walked into the store. Miss Rabbit was standing by a vending machine fixing something. Pay attention to the mirror on the wall. In its reflection, a different Miss Rabbit. Black eyes, a mouth stretched ear to ear, black liquid dripping from the corners. Peppa said anxiously,
"Miss Rabbit, something's not right."
Miss Rabbit approached the mirror. In her reflection, the same terrifying smile. Her face briefly aligned with the reflection. Black eyes, a wide grin.
"Trick of the light, haha,"
she said casually. Peppa noticed a mirrored jewelry box on the counter. It was empty inside, the bottom made of mirror. But in the mirror of the box, not Peppa's reflection, but writhing black tendrils reaching downward. It wasn't a window, it was a door. Peppa dropped the box and shattered it. Black liquid seeped from the shards, and thin tendrils crawled out of it. They slowly reached for Peppa's legs. Panicked, Peppa ran deeper into the store and leapt into a dark back room, slamming the door shut. On the back wall, a large antique mirror covered with a dusty cloth. The cloth twitched as if someone were breathing behind it. Suddenly, it flew off by itself. In the mirror, not Peppa, but a distorted version of her. Black eyes, a wide, unnatural smile. Tendrils burst from the mirror, gripping the frame. The reflected Peppa reached a hand through the mirror. Her fingers dripped with black liquid. The real Peppa slowly walked forward, eyes wide. She wasn't moving on her own. There was the sound of glass cracking, distorted Peppa laughter, the rustle of tendrils. Peppa stepped out of the back room. She was smiling, but her eyes flashed red for a split second. A black drop slid from the corner of her mouth, a shard of mirror on the floor. In it, the same horrifying reflection of Peppa flickering. Peppa and George were building a castle in the sandbox. The sand beneath their feet trembled. Suddenly, holes appeared in the ground. Dark, sticky pits. A black tentacle grabbed George's dinosaur. The holes vanished instantly. The sand felt cold, heavy. Round mounds started to rise all around. One of them opened, revealing a black, sandy mouth full of teeth. Peppa grabbed George and they ran toward the house. The mouth growled behind them. Waves of sand rippled under their feet. Evening. The backyard. Shadows were growing longer. From a new hole, George's dinosaur crawled out, covered in shiny black sand, its red eyes glowing. The toy turned its head and looked at Peppa. The dinosaur's teeth had turned black. All the sandy patches in the yard began to stir. Tentacles of black sand stretched out toward the children. The entire yard became a sea of moving black sand. A giant faceless figure emerged. In its mouth, absolute darkness. Peppa and George ran into the house. On the walls, a flickering reflection appeared. Behind Peppa stood 1,000 barely visible sandy hands. Peppa slammed the door shut. George was crying. Black sand tapped against the glass and crept up the walls of the house. Soon it began slipping under the door. Grains of sand fell from the ceiling onto Peppa's shoulder. She ran to the kitchen. The hourglass on the table flipped over, and the sand inside turned black. In the window's reflection, Peppa saw her own face, but her eyes were filled with black sand. The walls began to form a shifting message written in sand. "You will not leave." Peppa returned to the hallway. A shadow flickered. George was standing there, but without a face and with eyes made of black grains. In the corner of the room, the sand gathered into a tall arch, through which distant laughter could be heard, though no one was laughing. In Peppa's house, the paintings on the walls began to disappear. Instead of bright images, there were empty frames emanating sinister, dark energy. A cold, ominous aura filled the air. Peppa saw inside one of the frames a dark abyss that was swallowing everything around it. Suddenly, a sinister voice emerged from the abyss. "You won't be able to save them. All worlds will vanish forever. The paintings are portals to other worlds. A dark creature has stolen them to trap these worlds in eternal darkness. The glowing orbs are the spirits of the paintings, trying to resist, but without help, their fate is sealed. To restore the paintings, she needs to find an ancient magical crystal hidden in the abandoned library of the house." She heard a quiet whisper behind her back. It was her mother. Her eyes turned bright red. Suddenly, a sinister mist began to emanate from her body. She spoke in a foreign voice. "You came too late. Now I will remain this monster forever." The monster grabbed her by the arm and pulled her into the darkness. The glowing orb tried to help her, but it was already too late. The monster turned her into a victim of eternal darkness. Now he roams through the house, hunting for new victims. His hideous face has become a symbol of evil's ultimate victory over good. The entire house is shrouded in darkness. The paintings have disappeared forever. The glowing orbs have finally gone out, and the monster wanders through the house or hides in dark corners, waiting for new victims. Sunny day. Daddy Pig was filming his family with a new wide-angle phone. He looked at the screen. At the very edge of the frame, a tall, dark figure was visible. Daddy showed Peppa the photo. The picture was normal, but at the edge, there was a sharp, blurry spot with a couple of bright red dots. He looked at the screen again. The entire screen was filled with a huge, distorted face. Pale, rubbery skin, a huge mouth with tiny, sharp teeth, red eyes. Daddy, horrified, dropped the phone. On the shattered screen appeared the same creepy face, laughing. Black, oily liquid was flowing from the screen. The family froze, looking toward the forest. A tall figure, very thin, long limbs like a spider's, an oversized head with red eyes and a wide grin. Black liquid dripped from its hands onto the grass. The family ran home. The figure took its first step. A black puddle from the broken phone began to grow rapidly. Daddy slammed the front door shut. Peppa and George pressed against Daddy. The terrifying face of the monster was in the window. Black liquid that Daddy accidentally stepped in quickly spread across the living room floor. It contained bubbles and shadows as if something alive was inside. Daddy pulled the children toward the basement stairs. Black liquid had already covered half of the floor. George tripped. Daddy caught him. From the stairs, black liquid was flowing down. It's dark. Only light from the open door upstairs illuminated part of the basement. The family looked upward. From the darkness of the basement came an amorphous shape made of black liquid with a dozen red eyes. This is the core of the monster forming from the liquid. The family pressed against the far wall of the basement. The liquid monster and spider figure cornered them. The door upstairs slammed shut with a bang. Absolute horror and awareness of impending doom. Black liquid already surrounded their feet. The monsters nearly loomed over them. Light from under the door flickered out. From beneath the door, thick black smoke slowly crawled out. In the smoke, two red eyes flashed for a moment and then went out.